We're gonna be going over the banner, talking about Cyno's rerun since we didn't make a dedicated video on that. So we're just gonna talk about it here for a little bit. But this might just be one of the worst Genshin Impact banner of all time. Also, what's up YouTube? Say hi to YouTube Frog to chat. But just before we get started into today's videos, I want to paint you a picture about today's sponsors, Surfshark VPN. Like, literally. Imagine you're in Japan in Akihabara, walking into an arcade, and then you see this. What's that? Oh, it's Genshin Impact's free Wi-Fi. That's right, in case you didn't know, there is free Wi-Fi everywhere in Japan. But then when you actually try to connect to the Wi-Fi, this is what you see. Oh, what's that? Essentially, attacker create these public Wi-Fi to trick you into connecting to them so that they can steal your data, which will mean a lot of troubles. And this is where Surfshark VPN come in. With Surfshark VPN, you can connect to these public Wi-Fi with confidence that your data is now more secure by hiding your traffic and masking it away from attacker. So now you can confidently and securely protect your data, your privacy, maybe even your Genshin Impact account when you travel to these Asia countries. Even if you're not traveling in person though, Surfshark VPN allow you to travel to any country online instantly by switching your location. For example, here's what my YouTube looked like before I connect to my VPN, and here's what it looked like after I connect to my Japan VPN through Surfshark VPN. I don't know how to make this more relatable as I just came back from Hong Kong and Japan in Christmas, but if you do want to start protecting your data today, then check out Surfshark VPN. But also don't forget to use the code Tenten for 83% off and free month for free. They also offer a 30-day money guarantee back just in case you end up not liking it. So check it out using the link in the description below, and thank you for sponsoring. I looked at this banner and my first reaction is just like, ain't no way, right? Honestly, I was thinking like how I'm gonna structure this banner review, and I honestly can't find a word except it's so bad. Like, that's like the only word I'm thinking right now. Anyway, so let's start with Dehya, I guess, who's gonna be the new features. 5-star Doom posting characters, worst characters, garbage Kaibo Claymore, new Xinyan. I think at this point you guys probably already know that Dehya has the biggest Doom posting of history of Genshin Impact, so there isn't really a lot to say here other than very likely that she will have some problem, and you really should wait a long time, like 2 weeks, before we make a decision of if you're gonna be pulling for her, if you're caring about her string at the very least. This is why I said to people in my Twitch chat, you can pull her as long as you can accept the fact that she might just end up being a teapot decoration. If you're willing to spend $200 for a teapot decoration and never actually end up playing her, then I think you can pull her now. That's like the point of the Doom posting, is just to warn you about like, hey, this characters might have issues. You really should consider not pulling on day one and wait before you do that. There's also the fact that she's gonna be on the standard banner, so you can just get her from losing at 50-50. So if you're not like super into Dehya, probably not gonna be worth your pull anyways, because you might eventually get her from 50-50. So with that being said, the more interesting topic on hand is probably Cyno, who, to be honest, I didn't really expect Cyno to get a rerun so quickly. To be honest, not a lot has changed since then, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. There's a little here and there stuff. Cyno, overall speaking, is a okay character. He isn't bad by any mean, but he isn't like a super strong, great character either. He's a pretty typical mid-tier characters where it's like just average, so he's not particularly meta. Just like most other character in Genshin Impact, Cyno has a good amount of caveat. The biggest one is that he is what I like to call a few time hogger. Like, he has really long extended few time for some reason, and he just hog few time, and he's really demanding from his support or his play styles. But unfortunately, there just isn't really good support in the game that can support that kind of extended play styles right now, and that's one of the biggest problem right now with Cyno. It just, he doesn't have the corresponding support to play with him because he's just too demanding. Anyway, so when Cyno was first released, most people figured he was a aggravate DPS doing good amount of electro damage, and they put him into an aggravate team, which in turn have a lot of issues. Nowadays, he is more played in a hyper bloom / quick bloom team, either in the format of Cyno, Xingqiu's, Nahida, and then a flex slot, depending on who you want to put in, or in the format of Cyno, Yalon, Nahida, and then again a flex slot depending on who you want to fill. And there are a great amount of character to fill the last slot. You use Yalon to provide a little less hydro application than Xingqiu's, which in return actually gives Cyno more quicken uptime, plus Plus, you also is able to take advantage of the Yelan passive a little bit more on Cyno since he's gonna be the on-field characters. So that's the main difference between the two. But overall speaking, they're pretty much a different variant of Bloom team. And just like Bloom in general is just really, really strong. Or in particular, Hyper Bloom in general is really, really strong. So they are definitely fine or more than good. The only main problem I have with Cyno being in a Hyper Bloom team is that it isn't really particularly different than playing any other Electro applicator in the team. Like, you know, your job is just to hit the seat with an Electro application. And honestly, Cyno just doesn't really provide you any cool benefit of putting him into a Hyper Bloom / Quick Bloom team other than the fact that you get to play Cyno. So if you want to play Cyno, it is totally fine to just slap him into a Hyper Bloom team or a Quick Bloom team and call it a day. And honestly, they will be pretty good, but it doesn't increase his pull strength or meta value just because of that. Because, you know, compared to every other characters, he isn't anything special when you put him in that position. At the very least, the bottom line is that you can just put him in a Hyper Bloom team if you want to play him, but otherwise, not a reason to pull for him to put him in a Hyper Bloom team. On the other hand, Aggravate is pretty meh. It might have been the main intended playstyle for Cyno, but Aggravate is really meh on Cyno, and honestly, I would not play Cyno Aggravate at this time unless you really want to play Cyno Aggravate for some reason. The main problem is that Cyno just basically get outclassed by Keqing in an Aggravate team, but on top of that, he has a good amount of problem. Again, mostly the fact that he is a few time hogger, so he just isn't really compatible with support that are core or essential in an Aggravate team like Kazuha or most of the Danjo applicator in the game right now. Think about it for a second. Like, for example, in the current Genshin Impact Abyss, the first half of 12-1, there's 4 Rune Guard, right? And it's spawned one by one, and there's just so many problems with Cyno. Let's say you pair Cyno with Nahida as your Danjo applicator. The end result is just like you in a lose-lose situation where you either switch out to Nahida to reapply Danjo and sacrificing the energy on your Cyno, or you can keep Cyno on the field and keep on using its burst, but then you sacrifice the Danjo application so you lose damage. So you just get fucked. That's on top of the other problem, like Cyno just really vulnerable because in Aggravate team, there's not a lot of defensive option. You can run Zhongli, but then again, you lose out on like really essential Aggravate team component like either Kazuha or Fischls. Yeah, you're basically just doomed no matter how you play Cyno in the Aggravate team. So I would not play Cyno Aggravate unless you really want to. But again, Hyper Bloom team or Quick Bloom team are okay, so he is a okay pull just because of that. After Cyno was released, obviously, we also got Yao Yao, and people might be wondering if Yao Yao can kind of fix that as being a Danjo healer. The problem is that you pretty much run into the same issues, in my opinion. Like, keep in mind that Yao Yao Elemental Burst actually demand field time. In order to actually get most of the benefit from Yao Yao, you have to put Yao Yao on the field for 5 seconds during her Elemental Burst, which is how you're gonna get the heal and Danjo application in. And again, because of the nature of Cyno field hogging, it just doesn't work out, right? So yeah, Yao Yao was released as a Danjo healer, but Cyno didn't really get any benefit from it, in my opinion. There is 2 new Danjo characters coming in the next patch, which could help kind of alleviate those problems with Cyno, but we can't really predict the futures and we can't really recommend pulling for Cyno because of that. So at the current moment, Cyno is just kind of a meh pull. Wouldn't really go for unless you really like him, in which case you can shove him into a Hyper Bloom team and call it a day. But yeah, overall Cyno's not meta at all, in my opinion, so it's okay. Probably at least better than Dehya. Moving on to 4 stars on his characters. Not really a lot to talk about. Babala, nobody really played Babala. Collei, playable here and there, but Collei is pretty much out of the meta at this point of the game. The only place you might see her is when you are a fresh player and you just don't have any Danjo applicators in the game. But otherwise, Collei in general is a pretty terrible Danjo applicator. And then you have Bennett, who is... I don't really know why they put Bennett in this banner. Like, they might as well just make this a meme banner and just put garbage character on it, because now I can't shit talk the banner. We all know about Bennett, one of the best character in the game, one of the really good attack buffers / healers, one of the core to the infamous national team with Xiangling, and for like people in the comment, that's your Xiangling mentioned right there. It's great to have Bennett on this banner, but at the same time, this banner is potentially one of the worst banner in the game so far, even with such an amazing character, which is Bennett, because every other character on this banner just sucks. So I don't really know what MiHoYo is doing. They honestly might have just gave up on this banner even before it came out, because this banner just sucks so much, and probably the worst banner in the game we have seen so far. With that being said, there's also the weapon banner, which to be honest looked tempting at first, but honestly it's another banner I wouldn't really pull for. I guess we can start with the 5 stars in here, which to be honest are actually surprisingly great. Starting off with the Claymore, which is a signature weapon for Dehya. This Claymore is actually really good in terms of stats. 33% crit rate substat, but also increase your attack as well as it's just attack, right? Oh, max HP, but max HP is whatever. This weapon just honestly have a lot of stats, and honestly it's a pretty good weapon. The main problem is that Claymore characters in Genshin Impact right now are all pretty meh. You have like 1 or 2 okay Claymore characters or like Beto, but in general the Claymore category is pretty meh right now. So even though you have a good Claymore, there just isn't a lot of good users. Like you could technically put this on Diluc, for example, but then you have to play Diluc, and do you really want to do that? If you're not really chasing for meta and you have like a really favored Claymore character you want to play, then it's a okay Claymore to consider, considering that the banner does have the other weapon being Cyno's polearm, which is a really good weapon. Top of the Scarlet Sand is a pretty good weapon with a really good passive that gives you just a lot of stat, and you can use it on a lot of polearm characters like Hu Tao, Xiangling, and so on, and of course Cyno. To be honest, both of these are really solid statistic. The main thing that made me hesitant about this banner is that 1, there's no good Claymore characters, and 2, there's always the R5 Serpent Spine available in the Battle Pass if you're looking to spend money, and for the most part, if you're looking to pull on the weapon banner, you're probably spending money. So especially considering the 4 stars on this banner are just bad. Like there's one single good weapon on the 4 stars in this banner, and it's Dragonbane. I feel like we see Dragonbane a lot, but just in case you don't know what it does, Dragonbane is a pole arm with excellent substat because it provides you with elemental mastery and damage, which is great for a character like Xiangling and maybe Hu Tao and maybe Rosaria, but mostly Xiangling. But every other weapon in this banner just sucks and are practically speaking never gonna see play. Maybe at best the Sack Claymore sometimes if you really need it on certain characters, but just like previously mentioned, Claymore characters are not really that popular right now because they're all just kind of meh. So even then, the Sack Claymore you probably not see play. I don't think I've ever ran the Sack Claymore in my life ever in history of playing Genshin Impact, just because like there's no good users for them. So Bennett Alley Flash, I suppose you could put the Alley Flash on Bennett because of its high base stat, but like honestly the base stat increase compared to something like Euphonious weapon is not significant, and I'd rather just either use a Euphonious weapon to solve its energy recharge problem while making your overall team more comfy than trying to go for a little bit more higher damage. If you really want to push for all the damage, then I suppose Alley Flash is okay. Like it has a use in one particular case, but it doesn't justify the weapon banner anyway. So how much is Stopwood at level 90? It's a 565. Alley Flash 620. Okay, if you happen to have it and you want to put it on your Bennett, I suppose there's a use case there, but it isn't something like we recommend pulling it at all. So yeah, overall speaking, the banners are just so meh, and it's not unfair to call them potentially the worst banner we have ever seen in Genshin Impact. So I guess it's good for your money, good for your wallet, I guess. Dice of Bitch. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say other than the fact that these banners are so bad, because like that's really it. So I don't know. Thanks for watching, I suppose. Bye. Subscribe. I don't know what to say. The only word I have for these banners is just they're bad. Yeah, I'm speechless is how I feel right now.